Hi everyone. We have been reading through sections from The Four Loves, C.S. Lewis's book. We are now dealing with the fourth love that he discusses, which is agape love in the Greek, which means unconditional love. The Watchtower has defined it as principled love or undeserved kindness, except that the Watchtower claims you do need to deserve it. You must do certain things to receive unconditional love. You must be part of the organization. You must obey what the organization tells you. You mustn't disagree with them. The teaching that Christians believe about agape is that this unconditional love is that God is the one that moves first to you. He seeks you out. It's not something that you deserved. He doesn't come to you because he looks at you and he sees something nice in you. No, he does it because he loves mankind. So he sent his son to die. And that whole story is a teaching of grace that's missing from the Watchtower. Now, the way that Lewis describes agape, the way he defines it, is using the word charity. So I think that's a good word to get the idea across of unconditional as well. I just thought, just before we read what Lewis says, we might want to read a portion of Ephesians chapter 2, verses 4 to 10, because it highlights what the kind of love that God has for us. But because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ, even when we were dead in transgressions. It is by grace you have been saved. And God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in heavenly realms in Jesus Christ, in order that in the coming ages he might show the incomparable riches of his grace expressed in his kindness to us in Christ Jesus. For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this not from yourselves. It is a gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. But you can see the highlight of God's grace, of God's being the first to move. He's not reacting to us. He's seeking us out. This is how C.S. Lewis first starts his chapter on charity. William Morris wrote a poem called Love is Enough, and someone is said to have reviewed it briefly in the words, "It isn't." Such has been the burden of this book. The natural loves are not self-sufficient. To say this is not to belittle the natural loves, but to indicate where their real glory lies. It is no disparagement to a garden to say that it will not fence and weed itself, nor prune its own fruit trees, nor roll and cut its own lawns. A garden is a good thing, but that is not the sort of goodness it has. It will remain a garden as distinct from a wilderness only if someone does all these things to it. Its real glory is of quite a different kind. The very fact that it needs constant weeding and pruning bears witness to that glory. It teems with life, it glows with color and smells like heaven, and puts forward at every hour of a summer day beauties which man could never have created and could not even on his own resources have imagined. When the garden is in its full glory, the gardener's contributions to that glory will still have been, in a sense, paltry compared with those of nature. Without life springing from the earth, without rain, light, and heat descending from the sky, he could do nothing. When he had done all, he has merely encouraged here and discouraged there, powers and beauties that have a different source. But his share, though small, is indispensable and laborious. When God planted a garden, he set a man over it and set the man under himself. When he planted the garden of our nature and caused the flowering, fruiting loves to grow there, he set our will to dress them. If they were needed when the garden was still paradisal, how much more now when the soil has gone sour and worst weeds seem to thrive on it best. He goes on to say, to liberate that splendor is to let it become fully what it is trying to be, to have tall trees instead of scrubby tangles, and sweet apples instead of crabs, is part of our purpose. So I really liked his comparison of us to a garden that needs the natural loves, but it can't get along without the divine love of agape. In the next section, we're going to be hearing how Lewis unpacks why this agape love is separate from the natural loves and superior in some ways to the natural loves, that the natural loves are not self-sufficient, as he said. They need help, and God provides that help. I'm going to link to two videos. One is called is based on Ray Fran's comments, Wheat, Weeds, JWs, and the World. Why no unconditional love? And the second one, Christians blossom if pruned. So those are two. That was based on a Eugene Peterson book review.